Hello foodies, welcome into another video. I wanted to talk about something that has annoyed me about Dead by Daylight for a really long time, and I'm hoping that you see eye to eye with me on this one, but I don't know, man. This one's really irked me for a long time as somebody who's been playing the game for, I'd say roughly 3,000 hours now, 2,000 on PC, probably about an hour on console. 1,000, not an hour on console. Yeah, a whole hour. It was terrible. No, about 1,000 on console. There's one thing that really has consistently annoyed me about the game that has not really been addressed in any way. Because, most of the things about this game that are really rough, or at least have been historically really rough, have been largely fixed. So, most overpowered add-ons or perks are going to eventually be brought back down. And in terms of infinites or anything like that, obviously those have been dealt with. And most of the really unpleasant parts of the game are slowly but surely being hammered out. But there's one thing that not only has Dead by Daylight not changed, they have made no comment on planning to change it that I have been able to find. And look, if they've made a comment on it and they've addressed it, please do let me know. I would love to know that I'm wrong on this one. But without building it up any further, without teasing it out, right? It's the Bloodpoint. It's the Bloodpoint issue. It's the perk grind. This is a grindy game amongst grindy games, and I just don't understand how it can be that this game could have come out in 2016 and it could be as popular as it is and has been for such a long time, and they still don't fix this glaring issue, this thing that has really become just massively detrimental to the experience of playing the game. So when I play Killer, I play mostly for fun, but I obviously want to be competitive, and Killer is very dependent on what perks you're able to bring. And Survivor to some extent, but I think a good Survivor can go in without perks and pretty easily get the win in most games. If you're going up against like a god tier nurse or something, yeah, maybe then, but for the most part, I would say that I think it's generally going to be better that you have perks on a Killer than a Survivor. But I started doing some math on this because I was like, okay, maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe it just feels like this eternal grind to get every perk. Maybe it's not as bad as I thought. But I looked into it, and without being too dramatic about it, right, it's actually worse than I thought. So I did some basic math here, and before I go into the math, I should probably tell you, I was an English major in college, and I chose that so that I would not have to do math. I hated math. I'm very bad at math. So if there is some crippling mistake in my math, gosh, it'd be embarrassing, but it would also be kind of expected. But here we go. So using my basic counting ability, Survivors have 101 perks currently, and Killers have 90 perks. Now, when I say currently, this is of course at the time of the Artist and Jonah having just been released. So for future sake, if more have been released, that only adds to my point. Obviously the Ringu has been announced. So it's only going to add at least 3 more perks, and if there's a Survivor, we're going to get, 6 new perks. It's definitely going to be added on to in time, but at the time of recording, there are 101 Survivor perks, 90 Killer perks. Now, let's say you wanted to get every perk on a character, right? Well, you need to know that those 101 Survivor perks are spread out across 29 different Survivors, with only 20 of those perks, so roughly a fifth of them, being universal perks that you don't have to level up a character you don't play to get the perk. With the Killers, you have 90 perks, 15 of them being universal, and those perks are spread out amongst 26 Killers. Now, this is kind of important, right? I keep mentioning universal perks and being spread out amongst Killers because the way Dead by Daylight's set up, if you're not in the know, is you have to level up from level 1 to level 50 with your Killers, with your Survivors, with whatever characters you have, right? And if you want, say, a Bubba perk, right? So let's say you want barbecue and chili off of the Cannibal because it's a great perk and a lot of people like to use it. You need to get Bubba to be a high enough level that suddenly you are able to use barbecue and chili. So I want to say, and maybe I'm wrong, I think barbecue and chili is his level 35 perk. The way DBD works is that every character has a perk you unlock that becomes universal at level 30, one you do at level 35, and one you do at level 40. And actually, it's not usually about which one's their best one or which one ends up being the most meta. It seems like it's almost picked at random which ones they choose for each character. But anyway, you have 3 intervals in which you will unlock the teachable perks for those characters, right? So even if you don't have any interest in playing Bubba, you're going to have to unlock him. You're going to have to buy him, is what most people are going to end up doing, and you are going to have to level him up. Now, you do have the Shrine of Secrets, which I will acknowledge it cuts down on the grind a little bit. I'm not as high up on the Shrine of Secrets as some people are. Some people I know have been very patient, and they're slowly but surely trying to get as many perks unlocked as they can so that they never have to spend $1 on the game besides buying the game itself. And that's very admirable. That's a great way to do it if you are not trying to essentially get duped into spending more money that you don't want to spend. But I think that that's kind of problematic that they have it set up in such a way where you have to actively choose a harder life in the game if you're not willing to put money down. Because I am not saying Dead by Daylight is pay to win. It's not. However, it is pay to have a slight advantage, right? Or not even a slight advantage. I mean, for me, I bought Bubba and I rushed him, right? I rushed him so that I could get barbecue and chili and I could try to get characters prestiged and leveled up more quickly. And even I, with 2,000 hours on PC, do not have that many characters that are P3 level 50 with every perk in the game. And part of that is because they keep adding new perks, but you know, I have a couple. Demogorgon, Deathslinger, Clown, I have Nemesis. I have a few. Michael Myers is another one. Pig, Trapper. I have a few of them that are Prestige 3, and they're all level 50. But in terms of actually having every perk, most of them are not close. And that's the thing, right? So let's talk about what it takes to get to Prestige 3 and why the grind doesn't end there. So when you want to get a character, they start off no prestige and they're level 1. If you want to get them to prestige 3 level 50, it has been estimated that it takes roughly 7 million blood points to get to P3 level 50. And that's not 7 million to get to that and have every perk unlocked. That's just to get to P3 level 50. 7 million blood points. Now, what needs to be noted here is your blood points are capped at 1 million in storage. So once you earn your 1 millionth blood point, you better go spend them because you're not going to get any compensation for any game you play until you go and you drain some of your, basically your blood point bank account, right? Until you get back down to a lower number, you're not gonna be able to add anything on top of that 1 million, which is not great. That is just that is a terribly low storage system to only allow 1 million. I've tried to hypothesize about why it would be that they only let you keep 1 million. And the only thing I can figure is that they don't want a new killer coming out or a new survivor. And you have people who have stored up enough blood points that in the first 30 minutes of that character being out, they have them at prestige 3 level 50. But who cares? Who cares? If somebody's really hyped for Pinhead and they really want to get them to P3 level 50, who cares? Why is that a problem? Either way, I've heard people say, oh, just up it to 2 million. I don't even think 2 million is really that great of a solution. I think that they need to, my general thing would be if 7 million is what it gets to P3 level 50, 7 million should probably be the cap. Now, when I say 7 million, that is an estimate that was not done by me. And, I don't know, I would say if you have 1 million blood points, you're going to get somewhere in the mid 30s. So yeah, I think that probably adds up. But anyway, that's not taking into account that if you want to stop for some of the iridescent add-ons or maybe some cool map offerings or whatever, it's going to cost a little more to get through the blood web. 7 million is really assuming that you're just going for the brown and yellow add-ons whenever possible and taking the cheapest route there. And then there's also the problem of actually getting blood points. You can only get about 32k per game. That's what it's capped at, barring certain perks, offerings, or add-ons. So it is a situation where it's not like they just give you abundant blood points, right? Usually the only time that it's good to really make a push for leveling up your characters is when they're doing the anniversary events and everybody's bringing cakes. So you go in, you're earning, 500, you're earning 5 times the blood points on a per game basis. And all of a sudden the game doesn't feel so damn grindy. Not that it doesn't feel grindy, mind you, just not as grindy. And there's just this massive, massive issue because in addition to all that I've said, right? In addition to all that's been put out there, I mentioned how many perks killers and survivors have, but even that is kind of disingenuous because you have to buy each perk 3 times. Now, whichever character you're playing as, they have teachable perks. You start with those at level 1. So those you only have to buy 2 times. What a deal. So really, it's 303 perks for survivors and 270 for killers. When I look at these numbers, one thing I think of first is that casual players, which I would define as those who spend, let's say, I tried to think about this. What would make somebody a casual player? So I'm going to say, let's say they spend fewer than 10 hours a week playing the game. I think that's a pretty casual playtime. If you spend roughly an hour a day, you know, that's not nothing, but you're not addicted to the game, and you probably have a much healthier life going for you. So let's say casual players are not going to complete this game's grind. They're not. And look, if all they want is to put all their points into Yui Kimura or Dwight, or, you know, maybe they just want to get their Trapper to P3 level 50 and they want to get as many perks as they can, and, you know, they're one of those that'll slowly work to get things out of the Shrine of Secrets, maybe that's not a problem to them. But I think it is a problem. I think it's a problem for a lot of players. I'm well aware that there are going to be some who do not mind it, they do not care, and that's perfectly valid and that's perfectly fine. But for me, a guy who has essentially been playing the game as a job for like 2 years now, I don't have everyone P3 level 50. I don't have every perk on every survivor. I don't have, you know, I'm not one of these streamers who's got this abundance of add-ons where it's like, oh, I have 2,000 eerie heads on the Huntress. You know, that's just not my situation, and that's definitely not the situation of 99% of the gaming community, of the DBD gaming community here. This grind is killing the game, and I'm annoyed by it. I cannot believe that this has not been changed, because the grind made sense when you had 7 playable characters overall, each one with 3 teachable perks. But with each chapter added, this problem has become greater and greater and greater. And look, I understand you need some grind so that people don't feel like they've beaten the game and walk away. I understand why the grind is in place, and that's why I don't like to offer criticism without offering some form of a solution. So my take is simple. Get rid of perk tiers. Don't make it to where I have to get 303 perks for a survivor or 270 for a killer. Make it to where I have to get 90 for a killer, where I have to get 101 for a survivor, but where when I get barbecue and chili in the blood web and I unlock it, I have it. It's mine now. I have it, and it is going to perform as well as it is going to perform. No more of these neutered, weaker versions, which on strong perks, it's just annoying. And on weak perks, it really discourages you from even experimenting. Why try with a weaker perk, or a perk that's perceived to be weaker, if you have it in a far weaker state than even that, where it's tier 1, right? It just doesn't make sense to me. And I guess I probably sound a little aggressive with all this. I'm not mad, right? I'm not mad at behavior for this. I'm just I'm a little surprised. I'm a little surprised that this has not been one thing that's been addressed. And I don't like to assume the worst, but I really can't help but feel like maybe this is specifically done so that they can keep people hooked into the game, hooked onto the loop of the game, so that they can keep people from feeling like they've beaten it. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe there is a better reason for it that I am just not thinking of, that is just not occurring to me. But when people talk about problems with DBD, I really don't hear the perk problem brought up a lot. And usually if people are talking about the problem with perks, they're talking about a lot of useless perks and things like that. And actually, I think that's worth a video and a discussion another day. But yeah, I don't know. You guys let me know if you disagree with me on this one, if you agree with me. And maybe you agree with me, but you don't like my solution. Maybe your solution is just earn more blood points per game, or maybe, you know, I don't really know. I'm not creative enough to come up with anything too valid here. But for me, I would say they could increase the blood point cap. And I don't think it has to be 7 million if you make it to where perks only have 1. Actually, I think all of a sudden it becomes a lot more reasonable to have a 1 million cap if you only have 1 tier for every perk. Then I don't really have a problem with the 1 million, because you would be able to use that 1 million to get somebody to level 50 rather easily. So I don't know. That's well, actually probably not. That's probably not true. But anyway, that's gonna do it for me. Let me know down in the comments below if you agree, if you disagree, how you feel about it. Hope you're having a good day. Hope everybody had a fantastic Christmas. And until next time, bye friends.